All right, so we are returning from a brief executive session. So this is the 9/27 meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may join the Zoom meeting via your computer, audio, video, or both. And the link has been provided on the agenda. You can also call in. Phone number was provided on the agenda with all the passcode information. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite our best efforts, we'll post on the town's website, town.plympton.ma.us, an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of the proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Specific information and our general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can also be found on the town of Plympton's website. And this audio and video recording is not to be considered the official public document or recording of the meeting. So first item on the agenda was an update from the fire chief. We're going to hold that for another date. So Liz, did you want to go on to heavy commercial vehicle exclusion? Do we have time for the hearing?
Sure, that would be great. So we had some follow-up with Old Colony Planning Council, and it appears that the best option for us at this point in time is to go with our original proposal, which was for the heavy commercial vehicle exclusion on portions of Main, Center, and Maple Streets. The only kind of caveat to that, Rob Furlop posed a good question specifically regarding Main Street, and if including a portion of that roadway would somehow preclude us from future grant funding opportunities. And Bill McNulty is researching that for us, but I have not heard back from him just yet. So I would recommend that you vote tonight to reaffirm our original decision to pursue that heavy commercial vehicle exclusion, just pending, satisfactory report from Bill McNulty that he lets us know it won't cause an issue with grant funding. And then I can send that letter off to MassDOT and we can move forward.
Liz, we had talked about adding Main Street and Crescent Street, Upland Street, Upland Road and Crescent. So are we taking those off the table?
Yeah, so Bill said that those would not be desirable choices because of the way that it would affect the traffic pattern. The only kind of undesirable outcome, at least in my mind, on that is that sharp corner on Crescent that we're no longer, we wouldn't be able to do away with that part. But otherwise, he seemed pretty confident that the portions of Main, Center, and Maple was the way to go for now. And then, perhaps in the future, look at implementing some other strategy in terms of adding roadways.
Okay. Mark or John, any thoughts on this?
Oh, my only thought, I'm disappointed about the Ring Road piece, and I wish Kingston were more sympathetic. I do understand there are Kingston resident who's also working on some truck exclusion within Kingston that may be advocating for us a little, and I doubt that's the selectmen's the tenor of their, or the temperature of their feel for this is going to change, but maybe there'll be some more discussion. In the meantime, I'm excited to get whatever we can get. And if this is what we can get for now, so be it. Maybe more later.
Okay. John Trainer, are you okay with this?
I'm okay. I actually had one resident call me and say they've already seen a decrease in traffic on Ring Road. So they were happy, which made me happy. I told them I did everything.
It was all you.
Yeah. Did we look into speed bumps?
No. Rob?
Yeah, Rob may have something to say. I know that it's kind of frowned upon as far as like plowing and all.
Okay. No, I heard that. I just couldn't remember whether we ever discussed it.
I think it can be problematic as well for police and fire, but specifically for our department vehicles, we don't want any additional wear or tear. Or
Yeah. Okay. I'm fine. Thank you.
Rob, are you okay with this designation for these 3 streets?
Yeah, if that's what you guys want, that's what we'll do. We'll work along with that.
Okay, very good. All right, so does someone want to make a motion?
So I'm glad to make the motion that we will proceed with heavy truck exclusions on the roads that Liz mentioned, pending confirmation from Old Colony that isn't going to be a problem on Main Street, the rebuilding of the log section of Main Street.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay, so we're all set with that. Oh, so now being 6:16, we've got a public hearing that we have advertised for 6:15. So I'll jump into that. So the hearing was posted in the Halifax Reporter on 9/17, and I'll read the hearing notice and open the hearing. So notice of hearing posted in accordance with the provisions of the Town of Plympton municipal bylaws. Via Zoom, see below. Monday, September 27th, 6:15 p.m. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may join the Zoom meeting via your computer, via audio or both video and audio by copy and pasting the following link into your browser, which is https://us02web.zoom.us/j/82808105249. Or if you would prefer to attend via phone, you may do so by dialing 1-929-205-6099. When it asks for the passcode, enter 828-0810-5249, followed by the pound sign. It may ask for your personal passcode. If so, select pound sign again. You will then be joined to the meeting. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website, town.plympton.ma.us, an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend for this meeting can be found on the Town of Plympton website. And then we've got the information to join the Zoom meeting, which I've already read. So the hearing reads as follows. Town of Plympton, Massachusetts, Office of the Town Clerk, 5 Palmer Road, Plympton, Mass. 02367, telephone 781-585-3220, fax number 781-582-1505, and provides her email, townclerk@plymptontown.org. Town of Plympton, Monday, September 27th, 2021, 6:15 p.m. via Zoom to consider the application of Eversource, 273 Summer Street, Plymouth, Mass. 02360 for one petition filed, plan /WO #2279636 dated May 26, 2021, Mayflower Road, 1 New Pole -717-5 1 PL September 17th, 2021. So having read the hearing notice, I'll open the hearing, the poll hearing that we have advertised in the Halifax Express. Is there anyone who would like to speak on behalf of Eversource or in favor of the placement of the pole on Mayflower Road?
Hi, actually, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. I'm here, Karen Johnson, on behalf of Eversource. And
Welcome, Karen.
thank you very much. I'm here to, we're requesting a petition on behalf of, I believe it is the customer. I just lost all my pages. For a solar array farm off of Mayflower Road. They need to set a pole to run the electric service from that pole 717-5. And then the customer sets 2 private property poles and they pick up the electric service there.
All right, Karen, are these just standard size poles?
It would be a standard size pole that it's in a pole line already. So there's 2, there's 717 and 718, and the pole that we're requesting goes right in the middle.
Okay.
So that there's no weird crossing across the street.
Okay. All right. It's the same size as the 2 existing poles.
Same size as 2 existing,
Okay.
correct.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Karen from the board or people in attendance?
John Schuster has a question.
Okay, John, go ahead.
Hi, good evening all. Just curious, is that the solar array field that's just past Bottonwood on the right-hand side?
Just past Bottomwood, I don't know where that is. I just know where the pole, Mayflower Road, Main Street.
I saw John shake his head, so I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
That's the Harju solar field that's off of 58, but the access is through Mayflower.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Rob, do you have any issues with this?
No, it sounds pretty standard. They're just putting in a pole so that way there they can run their wires across for a little more support.
Okay. I'm fine.
Okay. Mark, are you okay with this? Did we lose Mark?
Sorry, I was shaking my head. Yeah, I'm
Okay. Okay. All right. Is there anyone in attendance that is here to speak against this? Not in favor of installation of the pole? All right. Seeing no hands, hearing no voices, I'll make a motion that we close the poll hearing and that the selectmen will then deliberate and take a vote. So motion to close the hearing. Do we have a second?
second.
All right, second roll call vote. Mr. Russo.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
And Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay, so the hearing is officially closed. Any discussion, John or Mark, or are you ready to make a motion to authorize Eversource to install the pole?
Ready.
I'm okay.
Okay, all right, so I'll make a motion that we authorize Eversource to install a pole. This is Plan WO, maybe work order, 227-9636 for one new pole to be located on Mayflower Road for a solar array farm. Looks like at the Haju property. So do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. All right. Very good. Well, thank you, Karen, for attending our hearing. And I'm not sure what we need to provide you with, but I'm sure Liz or Bree will reach out and provide you with a copy of the vote or minutes, whatever you need to proceed.
Right. Thank you very much. I have been in touch with Bree. So, and
Great.
thank you for doing them via Zoom. I appreciate that.
Thank you. All right.
Have a great night. Thank
You
very
too.
much.
All right.
Take
Bye,
care.
Karen.
Bye-bye.
You too. Okay. All right. So the next item on the agenda looks like we are talking about an update from the Highway Department regarding ongoing projects. So Rob, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, well, as most of you have seen, we got Prospect Road paved. They adjusted 13 basins, we milled 6 joints, so that way there's a better transition. The work on the wooden bridge, they were amidst getting boring permits. And I was told the work will be suspended indefinitely. I don't know when they're going to resume. 58, the bridge on that, Niche is filing for an extension for the grant. The design should be done by the end of this month and submitted to Mass DOT. I will keep Liz in the loop. the stencils for Mark for the safety zones. I'm still in the process of trying to find someone that will make them large enough. Worst case, I might be able to make some myself in the shop with some plywood. They'd only be 8 foot by 8 foot instead of 109 by 109, 13 inches smaller. I mean, still be pretty good sized. We got our salt and sand bids done. Landers came in at $17 a ton for the winter. Morton Salt came in at $65.05 a ton for the winter. Colleen just sent out all the plow contracts. We're waiting to get them back in. I'm working on line painting currently, and hopefully my guys will be able to start doing some of the stop bars after I get some of the main roads done. I think that's kind of it at the moment.
Were the sand and salt, were they up a big percentage from last year, Rob? Or were they pretty much the same?
Maybe up a little bit. I don't have the last year's numbers in front of me. I'm sure they probably went up a little bit like everything else.
Okay.
If you want, I can look into that tomorrow and send you an email with the exact difference.
No, if it's just a little bit, I was just wondering, we're hearing about price. We've heard of large price increases, and then I've heard now that's somewhat returning to normal, but I don't know if that's just for wood or is across the board.
Well, I think it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions or anything on what I've been doing or anything?
I'll just say appreciate Rob's work on. We've made this template to be putting in the speed zones. I think it'll be real nice. And Rob's been real patient and really good to work with. I don't know if this will show up, but it'll look something like that painted through the spoon room. A bunch of them all over. Rob and I kind of put this together, and I think this is going to be. It's going to be eye catching. Maybe we'll get to the place people will think it's too eye catching, but we're going to make our speed zones apparent to people.
I was down in Barnstable, and I know they have somewhat the same situation. Theirs is multicolored. I thought that was. Yeah, they have yellow and red, and I don't know, but they got money.
Yeah, that's supposed to help.
I was going to say I know that we have the one stencil down on Ring Road as you approach Maine there. And it's one of those things, it's almost like, adding that will help because it's like by the time you get through the one, now you're looking for it and you're past it, So I think it's, we probably shouldn't be afraid to put a few extra just to, I don't know, to make sure people get it, because even though the signs are up after a week, no one sees the signs anymore. Right.
Yeah.
It becomes part of and there's so many signs for everything, especially on the Main Street space. Well, both Main Street and Prospect, when the state came in and added all the extra stuff, they added lots more signs too. So it's just, I think it's great to try some different things and see what gets people's attention.
Yeah, I think we're all agreed. If anything, we're going to err on too many rather than too few. We can always get rid of them. But it's been 2 years on this. It's another one of those things, patience in government. But we're getting this one done this time.
Those solar signs seem to work well too to catch your attention, like the police one.
Those solar signs are pretty pricey. Some of the basic ones are like $600. That one down on 106 that was donated by Kerry Auto, that's like a $1,200 one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the school, I wouldn't be opposed to that though.
I'm not opposed to them. The only problem is the maintenance of them. If they get wiped out and you don't have insurance, it becomes an expensive sign replacement.
Mm-hmm.
John Schusted?
Sorry to keep jumping in. I don't know if this is an option, Rob. It might be worth reaching out to the Silver Lake High School, see if their shop could do something with you. They did some work for us, saved us some money, and it was a great opportunity to work with the kids on a project. So for what it's worth, I don't know if it's worth looking at.
That's a good suggestion, John.
If you don't mind, John, you can send me over. Do you have his email address? John?
I'll look and see if I can find it. I forget who we spoke to, but I'll take a look and I'll forward it to you if I can find it.
Yes, thank you.
Great, good suggestions, and thank you, Rob, for being so patient, because I know this has been like trying to hit a moving target, and eventually there'll hopefully be a lot of them down on the road, so that everyone is very familiar with the safety zones, and we get people to slow down. So that, coupled with enforcement, which is the second leg of this stool, hopefully, or maybe even the third leg, the signage, the marking, and then the enforcement, we can actually get people to slow down. So, and increase public safety, which is what it's all about. So thank you, Rob, for working with us on this, and Mark for taking the lead, and working with Rob to get this done. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I agree.
All right, so we're all set with Rob. So next item is to award the bid for the townhouse ADA ramp and associated improvements plan.
So we had the bid opening earlier this morning for this project. And the low bidder was St. John Corporation out of Wellesley, Mass. The sum of the bid was $110,000. And then we also asked bidders to price out one alternative, which would have to do with our current entrance of the townhouse. And they priced that out at $17,900. At this point in time, I would recommend, if the board was so inclined, a motion to award the bid to St. John Corporation pending a favorable recommendation from the Town Properties Committee, and also satisfactory review of any required paperwork. And that as part of that vote, that you allow for one member, possibly of the Board of Selectmen, to sign that notice of award. And also noting that I think for now, we're best if we do not proceed with that alternative. I think financially it's not really feasible right now. But that is still worthwhile and perhaps something that we could pursue for town meeting if we were interested in doing that. But for now, for this project where we have the funding in place from the state, and it's been such a long time coming, assuming, like I said, that TPC is in favor of it and that all the paperwork checks out and everything, insurance certificate, that sort of stuff, I think we should sign this up and move forward.
The difference is what, 15,000?
Yeah.
Why don't we can do under 25,000 out of capital, why don't we just do that?
I think we can get away with not even having to touch that. If we look at there are a few old articles on the books.
Yeah, I saw that.
More record keeping trouble than what they're worth, but they are applicable purposes. And then we have our town building maintenance article, which is kind of the point of having that. And that does get replenished annually at town meetings. So I think we're good as far as the funding goes, bearing in mind that it might be a little extra. You never know if there'll be an unforeseen change order or something like that.
The only thing I was thinking of was the ADA. There's a small amount. And
yep.
Whether we could use that for the door. I'd still like to get a sliding door in there. But if you think that's the way to go, I'm fine.
Another piece too to keep in mind, and I don't have the numbers in front of me. I was looking at it earlier today though. We had done the handicap accessible entrance at the library.
Yes, it was 10,000.
Funding that through some other means. We had the funds appropriated for that, and then come to find out on the books from a long time ago was a separate article for those same improvements. So there's like $2,200 there.
Yep.
And I'm wondering maybe at the upcoming town meeting in May, we could put an article on to repurpose those funds, make them for general accessibility improvements at any of our town buildings, assuming that the trustees were in favor and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I did look at the sliding door at the Kingston Library, and it's made by Stanley. And I thought, I don't think it was a big amount of money. So I'd still like to get that into our ramp thing. I know, John,
Yeah,
you have some-
I think by waiting on that, and honestly, I don't think we expected that we were going to get to be able to do it necessarily, just from where the estimates were. But we now have a pretty good idea that the estimates on that were pretty right on. The estimates for the ramp, it's almost 50% above what the estimate was. So there's your building costs.
Yeah.
But I think what it gives us the opportunity, John, is to chase down the door piece and go to town meeting looking for 25.
I'm with you. I'm with
for
you.
the entrance, and then plus the door, and then we have it all done on that whole side of the building.
And then we can have Mr. Brady and Mrs. Lenatra come and thank them.
All right, very good. All right, any more questions for Liz or anyone else on the project?
Only question on the project, if we have any idea of when they can start, and are they going to be able to do it before inclement weather?
No, we haven't got that far yet, but it's a pretty quick time from written notice to proceed. I would say it's 45 days. We don't expect this project to take all that long, but the key is going to be getting it done.
The big thing they need to do is get the footings in, right? So as long as the footings are in, they can work through most everything else, which is part of the reason we decided to talk about this tonight and not wait for town properties in your next meeting, because that would have been 3 weeks added to the notice time. So town property will meet on Wednesday. So we should be able to move it along pretty quick.
I'm totally in favor of moving this along. We've been working on this a long time, and just it'll be a good thing to get done and have for ourselves.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, Liz, you said it so eloquently. I'll make a motion that we award the contract to the St. John's Corporation for the townhouse ADA ramp and associated improvements project, with all of the stipulations that Liz had mentioned earlier.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a second. Roll call vote, Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. All right, very good. So we can cross that one off too. That one's been a long time coming. Okay, Liz, on to town administrator updates.
So we've had quite a bit going on in terms of grants. We got our final Green Communities report put together and in by the deadline with the help of Old Colony Planning Council. And as such, we're actually working on a new application for an upcoming round of funding. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get this put together. The deadline is fast approaching. I believe it's October 8th. So it doesn't leave anybody much time at all. Many communities actually end up kind of taking a year off in between, but we want to move forward with some different projects. Old Colony Planning Council is being very helpful with this initiative. And beyond that, I have a meeting at Dennett on Wednesday afternoon with Meg Aaronhalls, who's the Silver Lake School Nutrition Director, also with Julie Gutterson, our lead custodian, and Pam Taylor, who's the lead cook and manages the kitchen at Dennett. And we're going to see about some appliances. Coincidentally, when the person came out from the Department of Energy Resources to photograph the work that was done under the last project for our final report, she noticed that the appliances all appeared to be very outdated. And apparently they've just released some new funding for this type of initiative. And it seems like a big range of stuff. It could be anything from refrigerators, freezers, steamers, stoves, ovens. So the school staff are very excited about this. So I'll be out there Wednesday and we're going to take some photos of the old appliances and see how much of an allowance we need for that. We're also looking into a couple other projects at Dennett and then something to do with the library's heating system. So we've been getting some information from Mike Slauson, our library director, and he's working with our vendor on that. So it's kind of a quick turnaround here, but we're hopeful that we don't have to sit out for a year and that we're able to get this put together. And then also on the grant front, we had our first round of comments back from MEMA on our hazard mitigation plan. They are requiring our consultant to make a few minor revisions before it's ready for FEMA's review. So hopefully we get that back in relatively short order. And then that opens up all kinds of other opportunities for different grant funding. But we need that updated hazard mitigation plan approved by FEMA and on the books. That concludes my update. And beyond that, we don't have anything in correspondence for this evening.
Good.
John Wilhelmsen, anything with the school to bring us up to date with?
You know, things. Things are going fine so far. We've the playground, which is probably the biggest excitement up there right now. We had a significant delay in getting the equipment, even though we've been asking all the way along. The day we asked the day before, they're like, no, 5 weeks. And the day they ordered it was 9 weeks. So the equipment's all here. It looks like there must be a big, thick IKEA type manual that comes with it because there's a lot of pieces. And maybe an Allen wrench or two. So you know, God bless the contractor. One of the things that, so with that, everything got pushed on the contractor schedule and everything because they had planned to work on it earlier. So they met last week, and as I understand it, at this point, they've met with the designer and the contractor and Christine Healy from the administration, and they're hoping to have things done by the end of October. But one thing we're going to have to wait until spring is with the rubberized surface. Because there's requirement of it being at least 50 degrees for it curing. And if we're getting into late October, we don't want to take the risk that it doesn't cure properly, because they've had some experience where it doesn't cure properly and it comes up like a year and a half later, which would be very problematic considering how expensive it is. So I think the goal is going to be to put wood chips down so the playground can be used. And then when we get to the warmer weather next year, is to come back and put down as much rubberized coating as we can if we aren't, and the goal is to do the whole thing, because that is the place where we'll be the safest with respect to the state requirements if they decide to change them. And that would mean that our playground would be in really good shape from an ADA perspective, fully accessible and safest for the kids too. So it's not the end of the world that we have some extra wood chips, and we'll probably move them to the little playground on the other side when they do that. And we just want to do it once and do it right. So that's where we're going. But hopefully by the end of October, the kids will be out there.
Beautiful. That's great to hear, John. Thank you for that update. John Trainer, I interrupted you. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Nope, I'm fine.
Okay. All right. So next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. I would ask to have the minutes from 9:13 removed from the consent agenda. And I'll report under warrants paid. We had the total was $2,176.86. And this was for bills for Eversource, Verizon, Local Computer, Amazon, and the copy machine. So I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda for the warrants paid. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes, and Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So on to the minutes from September 13th. There were just a couple of grammatical things that I saw. I don't know, to just start at the top, I don't know if Bridget should be included in the attendance because she's attending our meetings and she's the selectman's assistant. So I added Bridget to the meeting attendance. And then when we got down to updates and discussions, I had some changes for our discussion with Chief Clancy. So it was my understanding that that the chief requested that the selectmen vote to accept the 2019 use of force review. That was it. We were not accepting or approving his use of force policy. It was just that we were accepting his use of force review that he had provided us with. So I would make a motion that the line that began, which I think is the third sentence that began with Matt, I would just change it to the chief, is requesting the selectmen, I changed it to from select board to selectmen, to accept the 2019 use of force review. And that following, it would be CJ made a motion to accept the 2019 use of force review submitted by the chief. It was seconded by Mark, and then we did a roll call vote. And then under the next sentence, I would change it to read, Select Chair Christine Joy announced that during executive session, the board voted to appoint Scott Benton as interim police chief effective October 14th, 2021 to March 31st, 2022. And then that would be my only change that I would recommend there. And I think that, and then when we met with Nick Rizzo on the second page, I don't think I made the motion. I think Mark was the one who made the motion to execute the hosted agreement. And that John and I think both seconded. So to leave that as John is fine. And I believe that was it for me. So those would be the amendments that I would propose. John or Mark, do you have any changes as well?
I'm fine.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. So I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from September 13th with the amendments that I noted. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Second, Mr. Trainer, roll call vote. Mr. Russo.
Yes.
Mr. Trainer?
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. Okay, so Bree, I'll provide you with those changes. So that's the minutes. I don't think we've got any other business. So now we're on to rants and raves. But before we do that, I will note that our next meeting will be October 18th. And it will start at 5:45 unless there's something pressing that we need to address prior to that. And if that's the case, we will schedule a meeting, but that is our next scheduled meeting at this point. All right, rants and raves. Who would like to go first?
I'm glad to go first. My rave is for the town of Brewster that on Saturday had a town meeting that approved the purchase of 66 acres along Long Pond. And I think something like another 60 acres on the ocean, all that were formerly the Cape Cod Sea Camps, unbelievable properties, incredibly expensive, going to cost the taxpayers little money, but this is invaluable land, almost never available on the Cape. Still have to do a general election on that, but I salute the townspeople of Brewster to making an investment into the long-term future of their town.
That's great to hear. All right, John, do you have a rant or rave?
I've got a couple of things I'll wander through. One, it was really good to see Liz send out a list of general long-term items. And I thought that was great because it shows the progress we're making in terms of addressing a number of things that we become less reactive and more looking out how to plan ahead. So that was really good. Fall is here, beautiful weather, kids back in school. It's great. This is really good. The only thing I have that unfortunately at my age, there's too many funerals I go to, but my semi-rant is with the post office. It just feels like they're sending more and more services to Carver. And I hope that is not indicative that they're trying to close out the Plympton post office. But, if you want to mail a letter immediately, you go to Carver. If you want to get packages, you go to Carver. So I'm not sure the federal government will do what they do regardless of us, but I do hope we can keep that little post office going. So that's my.
All right, so I've got two raves, and my first is for Rob Furlot from the Highway Department. He's getting a lot of really good work done, and just so I think engaged and responsive to concerns, and really working with us to do whatever he can do to help us with public safety and marking the road and slowing people down and making sure that the roads are safe to travel. So thank you, Rob, for that. And then Council on Aging, all of the great work that the board and the director are doing. It's really nice to see. I love getting the newsletter, seeing all the events, the veterans breakfast, and all the other. We're talking about the exercise at our last meeting. It's just so important for a lot of these seniors, and some of these events are the only way that they're engaging with other people. So hats off to them. You guys have come a long way, a lot of work. And John, you were very instrumental in getting this moving. So, great job to everybody that's been involved with the Council on Aging with great progress.
Colleen and Nancy are doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, they are, no doubt. But it's definitely a team effort, and you guys have all stepped up to the challenge. So thank you all for that. So that's all we've got for tonight. So I will make a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, second. Roll call vote. Mr. Russo. Is that a yes?
You're muted.
A big smile, and yes.
All right, yes. All right. Mr. Trainer.
Yes.
Mrs. Joy, yes. All right. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you on the 18th. So have a nice early fall. Good evening.